Today, we honor World AIDS Day, a day that's not just about remembrance, but also resilience. It's about the people who fought to live, who built community in the face of silence, and who taught the world what courage really, really looks like. Our guest today is one of those people, a survivor of more than 30 years, who learned he was HIV positive at just 14 years old. He's seen every chapter of this epidemic, from fear and loss to treatment in progress, and through it all, he's carried hope. We're gonna talk about where we are now, what's changed, what still hasn't, and what the future of the fight must look like. Because remembering is not enough, we have to keep building. A day first observed in 1988, created to unite the world in the fight against HIV and AIDS, to show love for those living with HIV and to remember those we've lost. Our guest today embodies that history and the hope that comes after it. At just 14, Luna learned he was HIV positive. He began creating self-portraits, not for fame, but for memory, saying, "I just want people to remember me." Active in New York City's late 1980s ballroom, 1980s, we date me, boo, and club kid scene, Luna transformed pain into purpose. By 1988, he had become a youth spokesman for HIV awareness through the Hedrick Martin Institute. And for over 3 decades, he's been a champion for prevention, education, and care. He lectured at NYU, Yale, Cornell, and Penn State, exhibited his art at the Whitney Museum, and taught photography to young people at HMI from 2000 to 2007, passing on the same hope that once saved him. Luna has won a Peabody Award for the documentary, I'm Not a Boy. And today he oversees the annual Latex Ball, which brings together more than 3,500 people from around the world. As father of the House of Khan, he's a global voice for visibility, care, and creative activism. World AIDS Day reminds us that the fight is not over, but because of people like Luna, we have a roadmap built on art, education, and unbreakable love. Hey, Luna.
Hello.
Welcome to Collateral Damage, bro.
Thank you for the invitation.
No, thank you for
beautiful.
popping out. I appreciate it. You see my bridge right here. It's live action around here. It's live action.
Well, I mean, all of this happened in 1986, so actually next year will be my 40th year.
40.
So it's 40 years of living with HIV, and it was interesting times because at the time, I didn't even know what HIV was, believe it or not. I mean, 1986, a lot of what we saw wasn't for folks like me. You know? I didn't see anyone that looked like me. Whenever we saw or heard anything about HIV or AIDS on television or in the news, it was either someone who was white or, you know, it was never, so I lived thinking that it would never happen. And the way that it happened, I was groomed, basically. Wow. It was somebody who was much older, and it was from the first time that I had sex. I was exploring my sexuality, and I was trying to figure out who I was and I am and what I was doing. And so that's how it happened. I contracted HIV from that experience. When I first heard you have HIV, they said that I had at least 2 years to live. So mentally, I was, you know, calculating it out. Imagine a 14-year-old. So I was like, okay, by 16, what could I do? How can I fit a lifetime in 2 years?
2 years.
Yeah. And so that's when I started to, you know, I picked up a camera. Young people don't have voices necessarily, especially in the 80s like that, right? And so I picked up a camera and I started photographing myself and friends, and I was trying to create art within, you know, learning that I was living with something that eventually was gonna take me out. And so I lived with that. And you know, when you're young and they tell you you're gonna die by this time, that stays with you. Now at 53,
God bless.
it's something that lingers in your head. Everything that I do is because I think it's gonna be tomorrow. They tell you you might not be here anymore. You start thinking of legacy. What am I gonna leave behind? So it was legacy that led me to trying to figure out how can I be remembered, but still help my community, still help other young people who probably were going through the same things as I. What I liked about ballroom and, you know, and how we grew up, if it's not there, then we're gonna create it. And
still to this day.
And that's what we do. You create what's not there for you as a community. And my community was Black, brown, and ballroom at that time. You know, young, gay, lesbian, trans, And so those are my circles. So that's what I embraced, you
Right.
know. And how I was able to like move forward living with HIV is that you have to embrace your HIV. It's a part of you. You can't get rid of it, right?
Right.
And so that's the first lesson for me. It was about embracing what I got and what I could do with it, you know? And then you meet amazing people like an Avis or an Hector or even Junior
God bless.
LaBeija, you know, and I'm talking ballroom right now, but, you know, I was influenced by ballroom and they put the fire. They lit the fire and I was just
And they
doing what
poured
I
into
needed
you.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. We have to take care of ourselves, you know?
I guess this week, whew, what can I say about this young lady? I've admired her, just her presence alone and the way she shows up for not just herself, but an entire community. Hope Gisele, I got an opportunity to see Hope receive an award, BET Black and Iconic. Your words alone made me know that I needed to have you here for the podcast. So welcome to Collateral Damage.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No.
I really appreciate it.
Hope, give us some information about yourself. Tell us about you.
So my name is Hope Gisele Godsey now.
Oh,
as of
right.
a year and a half
Congrats,
ago.
congrats.
Thank you. So my husband and I have been married for like a year and a half, and I love him to death. So I cannot forget the Godsey because when I do, he's in my chest. Like, why you ain't say?
Sorry, hubby. I'm sorry, hubby.
I am an international organizer, an author, an advocate, and activist. And yes, those are two different things completely. I am a writer of 2 different books, Until I Met Black Men and Becoming Hope, Removing the Disguise. And I've been in love with this work since this work chose me, right? I transitioned in college and had to advocate for myself on the campus of Alabama State University as the first openly and out trans woman to go and graduate from the university. And from the days of me having to figure out how to get better housing on campus, to even having my name change respected on my degree.
What does it mean to be visible?
You know, to be perfectly honest, I think that to be visible is to be a person of immense responsibility, right? You can't just be on here saying what you want to say and not expecting that people are going to hold you accountable to those things.
Fact.
You can't be out here calling yourself a subject matter expert about something and not doing your research. Being visible also means that you have to understand that people want you to, you know, to climb the ladder until you start climbing a little bit too high. You know, especially as a Black trans woman, like we're supposed to ascend, but we're not supposed to ascend and be able to afford Chanel earrings or, you know, be able to afford a BMW or whatever your vice is. And I think that like the more visible you are, while your message is also just as visible as you, so is your life, so is your lifestyle, and so is people's ability to ridicule all of those things simultaneously while you are trying to do the work often for them. And so like being visible is a blessing, and I wouldn't dare ever call it a curse, but it's a blessing and a responsibility at all times.
I love. Congratulations on the Webby, right?
Thank you.
Amazing. Talk to me about what that feeling was like. What inspired, right, you to actually even just partake in that project?
Well, I mean, Nancy Mason's been a pain in everybody's ass, right? Like, she's so fucking annoying. Like, when she popped out and was like, you can't use the bathroom here, and, like, made this big ass deal about it. Like, it wasn't enough for you to, like, tweet it or, you know, like, keep it on the house floor. You decided that you were gonna go out of your way to, like, make a post with a sign, do all of this stuff. And I had my last fix. You know, like, this is the people's house, and trans people are a part of the people whose house this belongs to. And so I got together and I put out a rallying call. You know, like I posted it on Instagram. If you were there, you saw, like, you know, I was like, hey, if y'all got time, pop in on this Zoom call. We're about to organize. I want to keep it, you know, X, Y, and Z, but this is what we're going to do. And so once we got there, my friend Elizabeth Booker, who is an amazing ally to community and also an amazing lawyer and social rights and social justice activist herself with a huge platform, Elizabeth was like, you know what? I'm gonna just film this, because we were already just having a good time in the bathroom, and we were just laughing and kikiing. And Taylor Chandler, who works here in DC, she was the one that started singing the song, and so like it was a group effort. We were there to resist and to make our presence known in the restrooms, and we all kind of sort of collectively came up with that idea together. And I just appreciated the fact that like the group of them, all of the folks that were involved, Britton and EC and Nala, who worked behind the scenes, and then Javanna and Taylor and James and Lex and so many other folks that were there that were just able to show and share that space. This wasn't a Hope Giselle activation because I organized it. It was a group activation that they trusted me to lead, which I'm super grateful. So I tell people all the time, I didn't win the Webby by myself. The group of us won the Webby, which is why it says Hope Giselle and Allow Me, which is my nonprofit organization.
I have a segment. It's called Useful Idiot. For those joining for the first time, a useful idiot is a person or people that believe they're fighting for a cause without fully comprehending the consequences of their actions. This person has no idea they're being manipulated by the cause's leader or by other political players. Hope, who would you say is a useful idiot?
Just hilarious.
Talk to me about it. Hey, Jess.
Hey, Jess. Jessica, I think that her heart is in the right place. Let me be very clear.
Okay.
I truly believe, I know that some of the girls are going to be against me on that, but I believe that her heart is in the right place. Mm-hmm. She loves being a woman and constantly has her womanhood being questioned, and not even by us, just by people in general. And I think that when you love something so much, when you are so in tune with your stuff, and when you are just down for the cause of being the thing that you were born, and you grateful for that, and every time you turn around, somebody's trying to take it from you. Right. And now you're being asked to respect somebody who is asking for the same thing that you're asking for, but in your mind, they're getting more of it than you are. Mm-hmm. And sometimes likely only because of aesthetic or because of societal push for that. I can understand why you think that what you're doing is helpful to your cause. I can understand why you think that you're a golden crusader for all women who were born with a uterus, right? But what you don't understand and recognize and realize is that the fight against patriarchy is where you should be directing your energy. Yeah. The people that define femininity as white, thin, frail, lacking of black features, which are beautiful, all of the things that are the reason why people consider you to be masculine or trans adjacent yourself. Wow. Let's fight the system together, sis, because it doesn't work for me either. It doesn't work for me either when, as a trans woman who is just trying to navigate in safety, I gotta, make sure my shoulders don't look too wide today, or I gotta over contour my nose because, big nose is a masculine feature. Even though black folks have broad noses, we have broad shoulders, whether you're a woman or a man. Yeah. Not every woman has broad hips. Not every black man is gonna stand 6'7" in the air and be built like a linebacker. It just doesn't happen. The system of patriarchy, the system of white patriarchy tells us what femininity, womanhood, and all of that stuff is supposed to look like, and we've ascribed to it, and now you think that you are a golden crusader for something that was never built to benefit you in the process of seeing how it doesn't benefit you, sis. Yeah. Stop being their golden retriever and find a way to build your own sense of self through womanhood.
I am sitting here in the process of starting this discussion around leadership. This segment is called, But I'm a Leader. You got to say it in that voice, right? Because you got so many folks that are running around capping about who they are and what their leadership looks like.
I'm Tabytha Gonzalez. My pronouns are she and her. I am an international educator and advocate, and I'm happy to be here.
And Lala.
And I am Lala Zannell. My pronouns are Goddess, Queen, Sister. And you can do your research and learn who I am. Today, I'm simply just me. I'm here to have a conversation with my brother. Let's get into it. For me, it was a word that people just told me, like, you're a leader. And I looked at it like, me? I don't see myself that way. I just simply had to make sure I was getting home safe, my girls were getting home safe, and I had to do that because no one else was doing it,
Right.
no one else cared, and if no one else was going to care about me, I had to care about myself. And what I've learned through the process of this word, leadership, and I use it loosely, that is a part of leadership. Because true leadership, it does feel uncomfortable when
Right.
people call you it. It's not something that you should be comfortable or gravitating to use because it has power behind it, and,
Yeah.
and it's a meaning behind it.
Well, I mean, I echo what Lala is saying around the uncomfortability with being called a leader. And it's not so much as being so uncomfortable, it's just that why am I being a leader for doing exactly what I know I need
What
to
I'm supposed
do?
to be doing.
I don't think that, and there's a lot of self-prescribed leaders, and people use that word for whatever personal gain that they use it for. For me, I think the first time I was actually called a leader was at the latex ball. And it was awkward, right? Because I had, just came home and I started to do this work. I met this great person, and we'll talk about that later on, who kind of lined me up, and I learned from some very important people. And this work just took a life of its own.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm getting an award for something that I inherently knew I needed to do for myself and for others.
What does trans leadership look like in this moment, right? And is it enough for us to be able to create these spaces where we're honoring our own, but we're also feeding our own?
I think the issue I always be seeing all the time is that the trans community has no accountability model. And we're very good at able to go into the White House, going to city council, going to our state reps, going to our neighbors, going to our family, and advocating to them on how you should treat me, things you shouldn't do, holding our family and those systems accountable. But we're not able to have a mirror and look at self-reflection.
For me, like when we throw that word out there, what does trans leadership look like? I think for me, that and there's no rule book, right?
Right.
And I think that's how the waters get muddied, because there's no point A, point B, there's no reference. I started to hear language that didn't sound right in rooms when they would be like, as the first. And it became this battle to be the first. But honestly, I think because there's no rule book and no clear definitions to what determines leadership is why we're in this shit show.
How do we engage with folks when we understand that some are coming with their own agenda, that everybody's not coming in love and light. Some of them are coming in cash rules everything around me, and I need some too. And yes, it's a space for you there, but this is not that discussion, because we're in a moment that it's like our lives are literally on the line. No one has time for you to go into a discussion with an elected official that's asking us if we feel safe in this moment to bring in some nonsense that is nonsense.
This is why it's important that when we see those things, we address it immediately and collectively. See, so if there's a collective trust in community and leaders, we will be able to effectively root that out. But because there's no trust, there's no safety, these things are allowed to happen.
And as leaders, when we're around the table,
Sorry.
and you sitting there being quiet or not saying nothing because you have this, and people ain't gonna like me again, have this idea of, when they bring it to the space, well, I'm a black trans woman.
There it is.
Well, I'm a black trans man. Or the trans community has it so hard. Yes, that is correct. And I am a black trans woman too. But also I know there is still a way I need to bring to the table professionalism. There is a certain way I need to come to the table. I can't live in my trauma forever. I choose to use my trauma to channel my trauma for change. To channel my trauma and my story to help someone else deliver them out of it. If I gotta keep throwing my trauma on the table all the time for a buck, then how am I coming out of my trauma?
I am super, super, super excited about having Larry Scott Blackmon. Yo, you do amazing work. I'm gonna allow you to introduce yourself. But first I wanna tell my audience who you really, really are, right?
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Yo,
Collateral Damage.
Collateral Damage. His dad is Larry Blackmon.
Yes.
Cameo. Right up. My joint. And my favorite, just like candy.
Yes. Don't leave out back and forth. And she's strange and single like. No, I'm joking.
No, but I wanted folks to understand that, and then part of my questioning, right? Because I know you politically before I even knew who your dad was. Right. So politically, I knew you was that dude.
Yes.
And then when they told me who your dad was, and then I went to one of your parties,
yes.
I was like, the apple don't fall far from the tree.
No, we activate the entertainment sector quick in the family.
Baby, we had a ball in Somos.
Yes,
That's
we
all
did.
I'm going to say.
Yes, we did.
Welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. Larry Scott Blackman. As you know, very politically active. I'm CEO of the Blockmon organization. We are a government affairs, public relations, a public affairs shop. Mm-hmm. We have a number of different clients in the development state, real estate space, not-for-profit space, mm-hmm. and we do great work representing our clients, and I'm so appreciative of my team. I am the chair of the Better Business Bureau for Metropolitan New York, 100 Black Men, mm-hmm. New York State President for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I can go on and on. If it's black and it has something to do with our people, I'm probably involved in it in New York.
And that is why you're here today.
Thank you.
So, I came prepared. I got a host of questions.
Let's go. Let's dive right in.
No hot seat, no gotcha questions.
Let's dive right in.
I just want to keep it a buck with our viewers. The purpose of the show, right, is collateral damage. I want them to understand how politics plays out into their life.
Absolutely.
So my first question is, how have grassroots movements led by Black and brown New Yorkers influenced city policy, whether that's in policing, education, immigration reform? How has it impacted?
So let me tell you this, Sean. I am a person that was born and raised in the projects in Harlem.
Right.
My father was on the 9th floor, my mother was on the 15th floor, and here I am.
Right.
And I moved between 9 and 15. Now, any of us that grew up in the 70s and the 80s know the impact of the crack epidemic on communities of color throughout, mm-hmm. not just New York, but throughout the world. And one thing that I prided myself on was growing up, doing the right things, going to college and coming back and living in the community.
Right. And
the first thing that started to happen was profiling, mm-hmm. right? As a black man, you get your taste of profiling. I can't tell you how many times, look, I drive nice cars, mm-hmm. and I can't tell you how many times I was racially profiled by the police, mm-hmm. pulled over, car searched, thrown up against the wall. And so what you see, and I'm bringing one to light, where there was, the keeping of lists of individuals who were pulled over, who were stopped, right?
Yeah.
The illegal stops, the searches. Mm-hmm. And that became a central theme. That movement to change that became a central theme of politics in New York City, which directly led to the election of Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers his campaigns, Bill de Blasio featured his son, who is black, who's a nice young man. I know him, I've met him. Dante de Blasio is a great young man. He wore an afro and mm-hmm. told New Yorkers that I'm black and I want you to vote for my dad, and this is wrong and this needs to stop.
Right.
And it led to Bill de Blasio taking that message and trying to implement change, led to an antagonistic relationship between City Hall and the NYPD.
Right.
Grassroots movements, whether there be for housing reform and housing fairness, whether there be environmental justice reform, take a look at the environmental justice grassroots movement in New York. Mm-hmm. There's so many great individuals. I work with a man by the name of Eddie Batista, who was known for his work in the environmental justice space. Right. When you take a look at the fact that I believe 7 of the 9 bus depots in Manhattan are located in communities of color. What impact does that have on our children? What are our children breathing? Yep. What are they taking in, right? So the movement to change that, to modernize the fleet, to do all of that, starts with grassroots efforts, and they no doubt change and impact policy. They actually lead to the election of individuals who are known for that. You know, you take a look at someone who is now State Senator Robert Jackson. Yeah. You know, I'm singling him out because he made his entire career around education funding, walked from New York City to Albany with advocates in a grassroots movement to increase the amount of money that's spent per child mm-hmm. on education in New York City. And his work led to his being elected in the city council and now moving up into the state senate, where he continues to shape and mold policy around education. So grassroots movements, no matter what the sector, absolutely have an impact. They take time. That's what we need to get better at as a people.
How would you say city policy historically, how has it historically contributed to racial disparities in housing, education, policing, and public health?
Ooh, Sean, I wish I had more time. Now you're asking me, I was an adjunct professor as well, and I talked about this, but you can take a look at the history of New York City, and you can still see the effects of redlining and everything that it is. There was a gentleman by the name of Robert Moses, who his work completely changed the landscape of New York, and it was all done through a racial lens.
Touch on redlining for folks that don't necessarily know what redlining is.
Sure, redlining basically, to surmise, is the act of narrowing an available living space or home owning opportunities based on your skin color.
Right.
So you would block certain people out based on the color of your skin or your race or ethnicity. So to give you an example, in Parkchester, right, there's a huge development in Parkchester in the Bronx. When that was built, it was built by an insurance company that backed the funding in partnership with the federal government. And that development redlined and blocked black people